The Desert National Wildlife Refuge is a protected wildlife refuge administered by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. It is located about 20 miles north of Las Vegas, Nevada. It was created in 1936 to have a habitat for the preservation of the desert bighorn sheep, and is the largest wildlife refuge in the lower 48 states. 2 miles west of the visitor center is the unincorporated community of Corn Creek, formerly the site of a station on the Las Vegas to Tonopah Railroad. The first major owners of a ranch encompassing the present visitor center and the nearby springs were the Richardsons, who in 1916 had moved to the area from Utah. They started with nothing much more than desert and a few shacks that had already been on the property, and created a thriving ranch that raised cattle, grew hay and crops to feed themselves, as well as the local miners and passers-by on their way to the gold fields. In 1906, a railroad was constructed from Las Vegas to Tonopah to haul precious ore from the mining towns to the main intersection with the Los Angeles and Salt Lake Railroad. Back then, steam locomotives required water every 10 to 15 miles or so, and several watering stations were set up along the route, like at Corn Creek. When the gold mines began to play out, it was no longer profitable to ship the ore, and the railroad was dismantled. The railroad ties were strewn about the roadbed, free for the taking. The abandoned ties proved useful for construction of small buildings and shelters, so local ranchers began to gather the ties. One such structure, the railroad tie cabin, is the one remaining original edifice of the Richardson Ranch era. It was built in 1920 so that the Richardson son, Delbert, could have his own abode. Delbert helped to manage the ranch, but was also known for his hunting and trapping skills. After the government purchased the ranch in 1939 to establish the Desert Game Range, later changed to Desert Wildlife Refuge, the cabin was used to store bighorn sheep skulls that were found in the refuge area. Then in 2007, because of its historical value, the cabin was renovated and opened to the public. In 1975, it was entered into the National Register of Historic Places. The small one-story gable roof cabin, 15 feet by 26 feet, was built with railroad ties composing the outer walls and floor joists. Unlike a log cabin, the railroad ties are stacked rather than notched at the corners. Railroad spikes hold the ties together. The foundation ties were set on stone footings. The interior of the cabin is divided into 2 rooms, a general use area, kitchen, living room, and a bedroom. A carport was attached to the north side of the cabin, and apparently there was a chicken coop to the south. The coop was removed and not rebuilt during the renovation. Let's now take a look at the historic railroad tie cabin. We are ready.
Wonderful. Well, again, welcome to the Refuge. This is our historic railroad tie cabin here out at Desert. This cabin was built by the son of the Richardsons family. So Richardsons were the settlers that were out here, and they had a son named Delbert. Delbert wanted to move out of his parents' cabin, so he built his own cabin out here on the Refuge. In fact, his sister was Ada Young, and Ada was married to Perry Young. Perry worked for the Highway Division. So once the Las Vegas to Tonopah Railroad shut down in 1918, him and Perry, because he was Highway Division, they were able to gain access to the railroad ties, and so they brought the railroad ties down here and were able to build this cabin. And then, of course, super cool on the outside, you can see the spikes sticking out from the railroad ties.
I have a question.
Yeah.
It was my opinion that they put rebar vertically down to hold them together, but the handout said they used the spikes. Is that your understanding?
Yes, yeah. As far as I'm understanding, it's just the spikes.
Okay.
And then, yeah, go ahead and take a look.
Oh, what about your table?
Oh, usually I have a little table set up because in the 1920 census, Delbert listed himself as a trapper. And so I usually like to lay out some of the furs and skulls of the animals that he could have been trapping out here on the Refuge. So we do have a badger out here with a badger skull. We have a bobcat. We have coyote. And then we have two different foxes. One's a kit fox over here. And then I do have the binder here. So this is actually, I know you were taking a look at it, but the actual census that listed Delbert on here as a trapper in the 1920s. So that's what he could have had out here. And I love bringing out the bighorn skull for all the kids too, just because that's what our Refuge was established for, and they love holding it. So
That's good.
absolutely.
Now, do you have any idea why he put 3 doors in here?
I do. I have a photo inside I can show you.
Okay.
So I believe the
Because I
third
was
door-
going around yesterday, I said, gee, what did he need 3 escape
The
doors?
third one was a carport.
Over here.
Yes, they would have parked the car and went out
Oh,
on that
okay.
side.
Okay, that makes sense.
And this is one of my favorite pictures because it does show them with the carport on the side of the house.
Oh, I see. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And they said they had extended some of the ties in front to have eaves. Was that for shade or something like that?
Yeah. There it is. So, like, they added a little bit of hangover, I believe.
Yeah. And the original roof was tin or metal, correct?
Exactly, it was the tin. And so, like, in these previous pictures, they kind of went in, I think at different parts, they, like, put wood shingles on it.
Right.
So when they did this rehabilitation in 2007, they reverted back to the
metal.
tin roof. I guess it was at another refuge. They actually found this old tin on another refuge and were able to reuse it here for that.
That was 2007. Yeah,
2007 to
2007.
2008. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
And then in here it says they removed the flooring to get underneath there since there was no crawl space. But it doesn't removing and salvaging flooring. So I think the flooring right now is a mixture of original and new flooring. Because it doesn't go into specifics, but it just says removing and salvaging flooring. So I think it's a mixture.
And all the furniture was put here to pretend that
To
it's
set the tone.
period. Right. And because there wouldn't have been anything left from since the Warts had it after.
Exactly, and after the Warts even left, the Fish and Wildlife were using this cabin as, they called it Skull Cabin, and they were keeping all the bighorn skulls or any kind of skulls they found on the Refuge. And they were the ones also, I think it was like 40s or 50s, when they ran this electricity through here as well too. So when they definitely dismantled this electricity, there's no electricity in here anymore.
Oh, there isn't?
No, yeah, this doesn't actually run anything anymore.
Oh.
Yeah, I think they previously had like a light in here.
Okay, so this would have been his main room, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And then his bedroom is over there. And I see he's got his night pot there.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see. And so this would be main room, kitchen. Okay. And then it's pretty nice, actually.
Yep, and then you can totally tell here, these ones are the ones that they replaced when they did the renovation, because these ones are darker. These ones have been treated with creosote, so these ones are not the original railroad ties. These ones are.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
So the non-creosote are the originals?
Non-creosote are the originals.
Oh, okay. I would have thought the opposite.
I think it was like in the 1920s or so,
Yeah.
when they started creosoting. Yeah.
Oh, okay. No, I didn't know.
But yeah, that's why those ones are so much darker. And this corner was kind of like rotting out, so they did the reno. They lifted the cabin up, cleaned out all the muck, took those ones out, replaced them, and rebuilt the floors down.
And it's still sort of lifted off the ground.
It is now. I think they did that I think they left it lifted to keep this from happening.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, that's good. This is nice seeing the inside, because I peek through the window and you can't see anything with the reflections.
And just to stand here and kind of feel how big it is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good
It's a great
size.
size.
And I understand they also built some of the other ranch houses, the Richardsons, out of these as well.
I believe so, yeah. Because they brought more than just the railroad ties to build this. They brought a bunch of railroad ties. So even when the next owners moved here,
The Wards.
the Wards. Thank you. I don't know why I always want to call them the Wilcox. I'm like, that's not them. The Wards. When the Wards moved here, they said when they moved to this property that they had a bunch of the railroad ties all over the property still because they brought more back. And I think they actually used them to build some of their own structures. Yeah.
Let's see. I'm looking for a stove opening. I was looking at that.
Yeah, and so we've
And then
actually
here,
talked about this
there's
a couple
one
times.
there too.
Yeah, there's one here. We were even wondering if he actually would have even had a stove in here, because if he's so close to Mom's cabin.
But it gets cold in the winter.
Yeah.
Because
Well, for the heat, yeah, you're right.
we have those old cabins at Spring Mountain Ranch.
Oh, okay.
And there's an opening in the wooden cabin. And so that's why I was looking. Otherwise, I wouldn't have thought about that. Okay, so that led to the garage over there.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,